Hi, I'm Beth Griffin. I'm one of the ED physicians and currently serving as Chief of Staff, and I'm excited to share with you some of the improvements that we're making when it comes to the physicians and the providers' communication, and specifically our communication from the ED with our hospitalists. Some of the opportunities that we got, or ideas on these forms, were a few opportunities. The first one was related to the HUC in our ER being able to contact the ED physician in an efficient manner. We do have zone phones there, so one easy fix we discussed is ensuring that all of our providers are carrying those zone phones at all times possible. So that was already implemented and in place today, and we'll plan to continue that in the future as well. Another discussion we had was sometimes the charge nurses in the ED were not aware if a patient was going to be admitted, and we want to make sure that we have good communication and there's always kind of a heads up that we have an admission coming, and also so the house supervisor could see that we have an admission. We actually already have a process in place where we do put a question admit next to a patient's chart in their comment section and from the ER, and so we're just reinforcing that process essentially with all of our providers to make sure it's done more consistently, so that our charge nurses and ER nurses as well as our house supervisors are aware whenever we have an admission pending, so they can be preparing for that as soon as they're ready to go up. Another discussion we had, or idea, was formulated around the idea of the admission order being put in, but the patient's still waiting for pending tests or pending treatments that we wanted to take place before the patient actually physically went upstairs. And because sometimes it does take time to get a bed, we kind of had a process in place where we'd put the admission order in as soon as we got that acceptance from the hospitalist, for example. And so now we're going to kind of reset our expectations, knowing that should be happening more efficiently. And we're not going to put that admission order in until we are essentially ready for the patient to leave the department within less than 15 minutes. So pending and making sure that all of our exams are back and all the treatments are done that we want to be done before we're putting that, clicking that admit order essentially. Another discussion that we had, or an idea formulated around the communication that the ED physician has with the hospitalist. And our default method for communicating with them is generally by pager, but oftentimes it might take some time to get return pages back, or then we might need to contact another hospitalist who is taking that admission, and it would take time for them to call us back. So in order to make that process more efficient, we did trial during this process the use of us in the ED physicians calling the zone phone directly of the hospitalist. We were able to get those zone phones up and running for both hospitalists today, and then trial our process for an admission, and it did work very well. Actually, that admission went to the other hospitalists, but we were able to easily call them, and the whole process took less than a few minutes. So we were really happy to shave that turnaround time that could be 30 minutes or up to an hour sometimes, down to only 5 minutes. And we really appreciate the hospitalists' involvement with that as well, and their willingness to take those phone calls right away, because in essence, it's really improved our efficiency with moving those patients up. The last thing we discussed was asking the hospitalists to see the patients in the inpatient unit instead of coming down to the ER to see them if we have beds available, only in those cases. So we've appreciated their cooperation with that, and essentially assuming that as soon as we put that admit order in, the patient should be upstairs very shortly, and then they can have better communication with the inpatient nurses while they're evaluating the patient as well, and then expedite the movement of the patient from the ED up to the inpatient floor. So we've appreciated all the collaboration with our hospitalists, and of course with all the leaders and nurses here today. We've appreciated everybody's involvement and all of the resources that they've really dedicated to this, and we're excited to see some great improvements with our decision to admit time. Thank you.